Hello, everybody. I'm Kiddo, and today's guest is one of the most consistent people I know. When I think about dedication, discipline, and obsession with improving the lives of the people around him, I think of Courtney. He spent over a decade in the coal mines, then he built a housekeeping business, which he created from scratch, sold it, and now he currently manages a team of over 100 people with Virtual Spotter, a company he co-founded with his brother. Courtney and I connected years ago. I drove up to Cessnock with my cousin to have lunch with Courtney, and we just talked about everything. My cousin was still a teenager at the time, and what he basically said was, I can't believe there's two kiddos that exist. Courtney is a father of four, a husband, an entrepreneur, and a leader in every sense of the word. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation documented. It's been a long time coming. How you going, Courtney? How's that for an intro?
As a mad intro, big dog, I really appreciate you. And yeah, I'm excited for this convo as well.
Very cool. So where I wanted to start was, what part of your past do you think shaped you the most, and how does it still show up today?
Instantly, man, I think I can point to exactly the biggest thing that shaped me today. So when I was a kid, I moved around heaps as a child. So I think, man, I went to I lived in 18 different houses before I was 18 years old. So we
Unreal.
moved a lot. Some of them houses were in the same town, but I was constantly moving. I think I went to, it was 11 different schools. And as a kid, that's a nightmare scenario, right? Like you find your friend group and you're happy there and you're comfortable there, and then you get tapped on the shoulder and say, hey, we're moving again. And so we traveled a lot. I lived in some rural areas. I lived at Ningen Parks, and then Young, Hard, and then into the city. I lived in Kemps Creek and Liverpool and a lot of different places in between. But that as a child, that was a nightmare scenario, moving constantly. But as an adult, it gave me some amazing skills, mostly around being able to create conversations with strangers, being able to network, interact, and instantly try to involve myself or be adopted into a group. And in primary school, man, them groups are pretty tight knit. To try to penetrate a group in a primary school or a high school, you need to have certain characters. You need to have a certain personality. And I at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. But as an adult, as I look back, it's some of the people skills that I have right now were purely off the back of being forced in them environments.
Absolutely. So you've been in many different seasons of life. I remember you telling a story about the house parties,
Yeah.
mining, the mining chapter, your first business, second business, fatherhood. What season do you feel like you're in right now?
I still feel like I'm deep in family and business. And I think they're the same thing, to be honest. I don't think they're two separate things. And I think if you look at them like two separate things, it becomes a challenge because one can't be more important than the other. So a lot of people talk about balance and they talk about, trying to balance ultimately. But I think if I prioritize one over the other, then they're what you can only focus on one thing. And if I look at family and business as one thing, I'm trying to grow an amazing business to support my family, to create time, flexibility, and freedom for myself to be able to give to them. I can't do that without business. Therefore, it needs my attention and effort. And if I don't show up to work every day in a really positive mindset or have a positive outlook on life, and my family isn't running well, then that affects my business as well. So my family is no more important than what my business is. They are both as important as each other. They are one.
Absolutely. And so how has your definition of success evolved from, your 20s when you didn't have kids to now in this chapter of your life?
I think as a child, or even as a teenager, early 20s, I think if to label success, it is purely around money. I think it's purely around income. If you have a lot of money, therefore you are successful. But as I'm 39 years old now, and I look at it differently. I think wealth or success, money is a part of it, but it's definitely not all of it. I think to be successful, you can have less money, but you can have control of your life. You can have control of your time. That's something that a lot of people, even with a lot of money, don't have. So for me right now, if I was to label success, it is someone that has the flexibility and freedom of their life. They have control of their life and they have the income to be able to support that lifestyle. So I don't necessarily think that there is a number to it, but I think it's a decision. I think success is a decision. It's like, hey, I decide when we're here that this is enough for us right now, or like everything that we have or want is like we have access to. So I think success, man, isn't a number. It's a decision.
Yeah.
Success is a decision.
So you touched on freedom. What does freedom feel like for you? Not conceptually, but like in your day-to-day life.
It means freedom for me is I can get up at a time that I decide and do things on a time that I decide. I can have breakfast with my family. I can go and work and solve problems for big companies, and I don't need to be like, I get to decide where I am and what I do. And it just so happens that what I like to do is, spend time with my family and try to grow a meaningful business. Like that's what really jazzes me up. So that's where my energy is, 100%.
Yeah. So you've seen both blue collar and also the business world. What values did you take from mining into entrepreneurship?
A lot of the things that I learned in coal mining were lessons come from mistakes a lot of the time, I think. And some of the ways that I was led in a coal mine, or even not even just coal mines, right, but other employment, it was through like a dictatorship. Like a lot of people end up in managerial positions in a blue collar in mining, for example. If a lot of the time someone goes through the early ranks in management in a coal mine, it's because they wanted more money. And that's the fastest way they get it. Like they do overtime and they're like, I don't want to do overtime anymore. I just want more money and just to work the normal hours. So they become a manager. A manager is, the coal mines is a funny industry because it's, if you work in a supermarket or mostly any other job, if you aspire to be a manager, that's kind of supported by your peers or something that's an aspiration. In the coal mines, it's a funny difference because if you aspire to be a manager, you're like a dog. You're one of them, and it's a very union driven industry, and no one wants to be like, mostly it's not a very admirational thing to do, which like I don't agree with, because I think anyone, if you want to lead people and if you want to like run a team and get promoted through that industry, like you should be able to aspire there. But that people will punch you down if if you share your thoughts or feelings towards being a manager in a coal mine. Or and I don't think it's just relevant to coal mining, but I think it's any union driven industry, which coal mining is very union driven. So I learned a lot of the things of what not to do through there. The way that I was like, I think leadership is being able to try to find people that have skill sets that are uncommon and nurture them and try to put them in positions that they can execute and get the most out of that skill set. And I don't feel, and this isn't me like blaming anyone, but I certainly didn't have any leaders like that identified what I was good at and try to nurture that in me. So for me, I think I learned a lot about what I shouldn't do as a leader, or what sort of leader I wanted to be off the back of not getting that as a team member.
Yeah. So it's from learning from that experience, you then learned to compensate for that when you became a leader, essentially.
So when I was in a team, or when I'm on a crew, like I'll work on a crew with 100 guys, and there might be 3 managers on that crew, and the division between the crew and the manager is very evident. And a lot of the time, there's no the crew gets labeled as the entire, like, if you could be a great team member, you could be a good operator, but that won't get, you can't shine through the negativity of the perception from management into the crew. It's very hard to, at least. So I think at times, as a leader, not sharing or not forging an opinion on a team based on 4 strong personalities. So being able to indicate is like, hey, these guys, they got 4 strong negative personalities. I don't think that the other 96 people are the same as that. So yeah, being able to identify who is the cancer in the crew and who is the people that are trying to provide or trying to grow personally or professionally, and being able to guide them. Like, I think that's what leadership is.
Absolutely. And so that would be your definition of leadership.
my definition of leadership is being able to, there's another part to it, right? Because my definition of leadership is being able to create a platform to allow other people to use to make money and create, freedom and flexibility of their life. So if I use Virtual Spotter or the housekeeping business as an example, the housekeeping business is probably just as good as an example as Virtual Spotter right now, because the way that I built Hunter Valley Housekeeping was I wanted to create. It's not a sexy job, right? Like no one aspires to be a housekeeper. But if I created an opportunity for these single mums or second income earning families to work in a really positive environment, someone that supported them, someone that shared or asked for their goals and helped support them in their goals, they get to wear a uniform, they get to take pride in their job, they get to, if they need to work inside school hours, they can do that. If they need to have Wednesdays off, they can do that. I wanted to create an environment that 100% supported them, and they got everything they wanted and needed out of their sole income or a second income through that business. So I think leadership is about creating and guiding, creating opportunities for people. Like you build a platform for other people to use to make money. That's what Hunter Valley Housekeeping is. That's what Virtual Spotter is. And then as a leader, show interest in the individual, understand what their goals are, give them tools to be able to help them do that. And mostly you can help people by creating goals or achieving their goals by providing them a steady income. Like that's how we can reach our goals, especially like a lot of the goals as an employer might be to buy a house, or they might be to pay their car off. The very easy way for me to help them achieve that goal is to continue being able to pay them. And for me, in order for me to be able to continue to pay them, the agreement is that they need to do an amazing job. So long as the customer is happy, they have a really good service, or that we have a good product, then the customer will always be there. And whilst that customer's there, I can continue paying you. Like that's the easy way for me to help achieve their goals.
Yeah. So what would you say is like a contrarian belief that you hold about entrepreneurship or team building that most people might disagree with?
Say that question again. I need to think.
For everybody listening, Courtney, usually I send questions beforehand, but Courtney was like, listen, don't send me the questions. We're just going to roll.
I just want to shoot from the hip. Let me shoot from the hip.
Courtney is the definition of the uncommon amongst the uncommon. So, Courtney, once again, what is a contrarian belief you hold about entrepreneurship or team building that most people might disagree with?
I'm not sure if they disagree, but I don't know if many people would disagree with this, but I don't think many people can apply it. And I think holding your team, actually this refers to my kids as well, but holding your team highly accountable to do the things that you agree with them doing. So I think there's a massive gap in between teams and leaders right now, is that mostly there's a lot of teams that aren't held accountable to do the things that they're responsible for. Same as my children. If I believe, or if I hold my kids to a high standard, it's because I believe in them. It's because I can see something that maybe they can't see. And it's the same as like my team. If I hold my team really accountable to do the things that we've agreed on, or maybe even push them to achieve a little bit more, it's coming from a place of belief. It's not me trying to overbear or overpower or ask for something that I don't believe in. So I think to answer that question, hopefully it answers it, but it's like a high standard of accountability. I think as leaders, we can shy away from that because it is hard having difficult conversations around performance or around output. But I think that so long as we can frame that conversation early and talk about what we expect, and if you're in my team, kiddo, like the very first interaction we would have is me communicating what will happen if there is an event that you underperform or you do something that's out of line. So I might say to you something like, hey kiddo, I'm super excited to have you on the team to take ownership of ABC system. It's like, I just want to be super upfront. Like my expectation is that you do XYZ. And like, I don't want it to be weird if, you only do XY, because like I'm going to pull you aside and we're going to talk about how we need to do Z as well. And the only reason I do that is because I believe in you and I want to support you forever. So like, are you okay if we have that weird conversation if I identify that, you don't do XYZ? And every time, bro, you're going to be like, yeah, for sure. Like I want to be in this environment to grow. I want you to help me and I want you to guide me. So if we have that conversation early, if at any one stage throughout your career or our arrangement together, we have to have a conversation. It's not weird because we already spoke about it, right? We already spoke about what I expected from you. And so long as I provide the tools and the information for you to do your job, then like that's my responsibility. And then as a leader, I want to hold you accountable to do what you said you were going to do. And you told me that you wanted to grow. You told me that you wanted a career. You told me that you wanted a promotion. Like these are the things that we need to do to help you grow. So I think it's the way that we frame it initially. It avoids any weird conversation thereafter if someone does underperforms.
Yeah, so you're setting that expectation up front so that if something does come up, and also you're also setting like a baseline expectation, which is I think really important because I feel like
So much
with a
emotion.
lot of with a lot of leaders that don't set a clear goal up front, like in order to really maximize people's potential, you have to set them in a direction. So yeah, I really like that.
I think one of the
What
hardest things, man, as a business owner is understanding what way you need to go. Like as a founder or a business owner, you don't have that person guiding you, as this is your, to-do list for the day, kiddo. That's hard because I'll say it's hard for me at times because I need to anticipate the best direction. I'm not sure. I was like, I think we need to go left here, but like I'm not entirely sure. So I think that people need direction far more than what they can identify. And the clearer direction we can give, along with the steps that each one of them tasks might involve, the better output we'll get. People need to be directed. I think there's a lot of that might be another misconception, right? Is like the misconception is that if you hire a leader or an executive in your business, then they should know what to do. I don't believe that is always true. They might have the skills in the past that they've shown evidence of that, but they need to be managed. They need to be directed. And that's not a negative thing. It's more of a guidance thing. It's like, hey, I'm here to help you and I want to guide you down the direction I think this business needs to go.
Yeah. So what decision frameworks do you use when you're choosing like which opportunities to say yes or no to? Now that you're juggling multiple businesses, a family, teams that are working remotely, how do you decide what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to?
I'm getting way better at that, but I'm still not amazing. So like previously I would say yes to everything and I would try all these things. And by doing that, it's cost me a lot of money and like hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. I've invested in things that I shouldn't have. I've got my hands dirty in areas that I shouldn't have, that have taken away focus and energy towards the main thing. And I think that I had to do that in order to learn that lesson. But if there's anything that falls out of what I'm doing right now in the businesses that I'm doing right now, it's a hard no. Even like my time, I manage it way tighter now. I'm very comfortable and confident in saying no to things now because if I say no to something, it means I'm saying yes to the thing that's important, right? And the opposite's true. If I say yes to something in lieu of not spending time, energy into the other thing, then I'm undervaluing what that thing is, And previously, even when I stopped drinking alcohol, it was like I would share these ideas, in a conversation with you, for example. It's like, kiddo, like my goals are this, and I'm going to achieve that, and I'm really certain that if I just get this opportunity, then I'm going to be able to capitalize on it. And I would share all these really amazing ideas and strategies, but then I would go and get drunk 4 nights of the week. I'm like, bro, like you're saying one thing and you're doing something completely different. So I think the same as this, the more you can say no to, it just reinforces the yes on the opposite side of that.
Yeah. So you came to entrepreneurship kind of later on. You didn't start, as a teenager, although from what you've told me, there was lots of hints that that was what you're going to
Yeah.
end up doing. Can you talk to me about, you realized that being at the mines was taking time away from spending time with your family. Can you tell
Yeah.
me like what was the point, the tipping point for you that said, you know what, I'm literally going to switch direction and go into entrepreneurship? Because I feel like
I
your
felt like
story
a
is unique.
I felt like a ghost out there. I felt like a ghost. And I live in Cessnock, it's a small coal mining community 2 hours north of Sydney. If you are successful in this town, you have a permanent job in a coal mine. And that when I was in my early 20s, that's what I was aspiring to do, right? Like you can get ahead and like, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing on the coal mining industry. Like the coal mines for me were incredible. I'm super grateful for all the things that coal mining provided me. It gave me a massive head start in life. Like I'm a young 20-year-old earning 160 grand plus super a year, like, unskilled. It's wild, man. So I'm super grateful for that. But over time, I felt like I was destined for more. Like I had a seed in me that I'm like, this is not what I should be doing. I felt like I was leaving like way too much on the table. But also too, I didn't have the confidence or the ability to know that that feeling was accurate. Like maybe it was just a make believe thing. It was just an overconfidence thing. So after 10 years, man, like I was just like, this is not, I couldn't imagine my future. And a lot of it was just looking at my peers inside that. Like I would see guys on my crew that were 65 years old that had worked in the coal mines for 40 years, bro. And they had no more money than what I had. They were no more happier. Like they were no more further on in life. I'm like, fuck, is this me? Like if I don't change like something, like this is going to be me. And I couldn't comprehend that thought or feeling. And then that's when the business is like, I played around with all little things to make money. Like I never had any ego around what I did. Like I remember, dude, when I had my second kid, I needed to buy a stroller with like 2 seats in it, and I had no money. I was in a coal mine with like I had no like excess money, so I was living week to week on 160 grand a year. My wife, like we made a decision early that she would like be a stay-at-home mum and raise our family. So there was a single income. I would go and spray. I had an advertisement. Actually, this is a fucking mad story. I had an ad on Gumtree, bro, in spring, and I would spray people's bindies in spring for $50. So here I am. I was on 160 grand a year. I had an ad on Gumtree. I would wake up off night shift. I'd grab my fucking 5 litre knapsack and I'd go and spray some random's backyard for bindies, and I'd charge them $50, right? And I'd done that to get money to buy a pram with 2 seats in it. So like even the Concept 2 rower, when I first brought that, man, I didn't have $1,000. I had $200, but they're $1,200. So I started, and you can appreciate this, right? And maybe some of your audience can as well, but I started selling my unused clothes on eBay. And I was like, I need to get $1,000 in order for me to buy this thing. And I could just do that by selling excess things. The shoes were the same thing. The Reebok Nanos, I was like, I think I sold 45 pairs of them, brand new shoes from US. It was just a really small loophole before they were available in the Australian market that I capitalized on. So I knew I had the ability to be able to generate money, but I didn't have like the proper, I didn't have the full confidence or like the history that I could repeat it.
So can you just dive deeper, because you've told me this before and I think people really appreciate this, but talk to me about the loophole with the CrossFit shoes and like how you managed to do that, because that'll connect nicely to like, this is the early hints, I think, for me of like, oh, Courtney was always an entrepreneur. Like it was always there.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of you just like, yep, I'm going to do it.
So in 2012, I done my CrossFit Level 1. And so anyone that understands what that is, basically it's you go for a weekend course, you spend you give it CrossFit $1,000, and they put you through their coaching program for 2 days. And then after that, you become a CrossFit certified coach. So I done that. And when you're a CrossFit certified coach, you get, I think it was, I want to say 25% off the Reebok CrossFit website. And at that stage, you couldn't buy any Reebok CrossFit branded items outside of the US. There was one US website that had it. If you brought a sweatband or a pair of shoes or $1,000 worth of clothes, you would pay $50 worth of postage. It didn't matter if it was one item or 100 items. Fixed cost shipping to Australia. And all this gear was everyone that was inside CrossFit wanted Reebok CrossFit gear. They wanted the nanos, they wanted the shirts. It was like highly sought after merchandise. And then the Reebok Nano shoes come out. You couldn't buy them anywhere other than this website, dude. And then I'm like, fuck, like I can buy items off this website. I can get aggregated $50 shipping. I would ship them. I remember an experiment. I had 10. I think I brought 5 or 10 pairs of shoes early. I'm like, I'm just going to try to bootleg them off to the other members in the studio, and I'd done that. And I remember doing research. I'm like, the most common men's size is a size 10. The most common women's is an 8.5. So I just go straight into them. I wouldn't get anything outside of that. I just go 10s, 8.5s in all different color sets. And then I done another order, and my margin was, I didn't get too greedy with my margin. So I think they were like a 150. It worked out to be 150 Aussie. So I would just use that 25% discount as my profit margin. So I'd sell them on eBay for retail, basically. And I remember as well, and I remember early, I would experiment with no shipping or free shipping. And what I found was that if I went no shipping, then if I went free shipping, I wouldn't sell more shoes, but I'll just lose more money. And what I realized
Interesting.
was that people are okay paying for postage because they understand what that goes towards. They're like, okay, cool. I'm buying a pair of shoes online. Of course, there will be a cost in that. So I remember I had like a fixed shipping. I played around with free shipping, and then I turned shipping on, and my sales didn't drop. So I'm like, no brainer. 150 item price, $15 postage and handling, and I had this notification set up on my phone. So every time an eBay notification came, it was like a cha-ching. So like I'd be chilling, and I'd just go cha-ching, cha-ching. I was like, fucking. It was like it was like a chemical reaction in my mind, bro. I'm like, wow, I'm making money online selling these items. Like it was a really, really cool feeling. And Sunday nights, like you got way more data than what I do, but Sunday nights were like the bread and butter. Like that's where you could chill, and like people are on there, they're scrolling on eBay, they're looking for these bargains, and Sunday nights were notoriously my busy time.
Yeah. So a slight pivot because we've got not as long time as I usually have, but I want you to talk to me about your pivot into first the pivot from the mines to the housekeeping business, how you were doing it remotely. You don't need to go too deep into that, but just for context. And then if you could talk to me about your approach to launching that housekeeping business where you were able to organize lunches with certain people and basically your whole approach. Talk to me about the flyers as well, how
Yeah,
you
for sure.
design
So
them.
when I had no desire to create a cleaning business. I had all the desire to try to replace my income and like get control and freedom of my life. So I didn't care if it was a cleaning business or it was whatever. That was irrelevant. I just needed a vehicle to make money. My friend showed me this cleaning business that was for sale in our area, and that caught my attention. I'm like, okay, cool, let me understand what it was. I looked at these two guys that had this business. They had a few accounts, and they were paying themselves what I was getting paid in a coal mine. And they were trying to sell that business for $110,000. In my head, I was just bullish on trying to get out of the mines, and I needed to try to replace my income as fast as possible because I'm the sole income earner, right? At that stage, I had two houses and I think two kids, or no, two kids at that stage. I looked at that, and then I sent all the details to my account, and I'm like, dude, I want to buy this business. The way I looked at it is like, I'm going to spend $110,000 and buy this income. And then they're working in the business, mowing lawns, helping clean houses. I think they had 9 staff or something like that. And I was just like blindsided, I need to buy this business. And then what I realized there was, I think they were doing $500,000 in rev. But one of them customers was like $250,000 of that revenue, right? So they had
Big
a
problem.
massive risk in that. Yeah. And I'm like, I buy this business, she goes away, and then like it's all gone. So I'm like, I just need to chill. Whilst I'm in a hurry, whilst I'm motivated to get out, like I don't need to, spend $100,000 and buy this business. I don't know their background. I don't know if their employees are good or whatever. So I'm like, I still see a huge opportunity in that, and I think I could do a better job than these guys. And it allowed me to get insight into the industry and the sector, or the opportunity that existed. So I'm like, hey, I'll create my own cleaning business, and I'll basically like replicate what I think these guys could have done differently and do it better and faster. So I done that, and one by one, I hired my first employee, and I slowly got it out. I was cold calling accommodation properties around, and there's 2 large short stay accommodation property managers. I reached out to both of them guys, and because I understood that after some research, I listened to a lot of cleaning podcasts and things like that, and understood the industry. I was like, the biggest problem in these guys is the third parties that they partner with to service their properties. They can sell weekends away, but they need properties to clean. So predominantly my customer base was short stay accommodation homes, and I picked that because it was high turnover. I could clean the same house twice a week or 3 times a week, and it was repeated. So I reached out to both these guys and said, hey, this is who I am. I don't anticipate that you just let me come and work, with you guys straight away, but like, let's catch up. I want to have lunch with you, and I want to understand the pain points of this industry for you as a property manager. Both of them, one of them caught up, and I didn't even have a business at that stage, bro. This is before the concept of like, I was like, this is an idea. I want to understand how I can build it. So I
And
done that. Then I hustled it.
just to iterate as well, is like this was your first business.
Yeah, my very first business. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just have a question before you continue. Is like, how? So I remember you've told me, but for the people who don't have the context, is like while you're at the mines, you're listening to
Yeah.
audiobooks, you're reading, you're
Yeah.
doing all this research. how did you know to do all this? Like, and it goes back to what your very first answer to the first question was, is as a kid you learned this ability to be able to talk to people. But talk to me
Yeah.
about like getting those very first clients, because somebody might be listening and they're like, listen, I've got this idea for a business, and like here you are, did it textbook, reached out in a way that a lot of people wouldn't think to do it. Somebody might just start the business and then go, hey, where's my first client? But what you did,
Yeah.
you were doing market research, you were putting this infrastructure up before, and then you were able to
Yeah.
launch the business. So talk to me about that,
Yeah.
like your approach on
Dude,
those
I
first
used
calls.
the last couple of years of my coal mining career was purely, it was like a university for me. So like I would sit in a digger or a dozer or a truck and I'd listen to just books, bro, listen to podcasts, just pump them out. Like I'm working a weekend shift, 12 and a half hours, I'd finish 2 books, just listen, learn, write down, document, and just educate myself. And that gave me the confidence. It's like, oh wow, like I have some strategy here. Like this is normal to do this. And the barrier for anyone, you can go create $1 million business very simply. The barrier is like a small amount of effort. It's like reach out to your potential customer and introduce yourself. Like that's the barrier, bro. Like people won't even do that. And the thing for me is like, I'm not trying to sell my services on the first outbound. I'm just like, hey kiddo, my name's Courtney. This is who I am. This is what I do. I understand that you have a holiday accommodation home. Like this isn't me trying to sell my services, but I understand some of the pain points in this industry. And if you ever have any issues with your housekeeping team in the future, like save my number. I'm here to help. These are my values. This is what I'm set out to do. Have a great day. Nothing crazy than that, but like people can't use your services. They can't give you money if they don't know you exist. So like the barrier, especially in that industry, is like cold calling and introducing, not trying to like hardcore sell as like pitch all the things that I'm good at. It's just like, hey, how are you? This is who I am. If you need me in the future, like say hello. And that's how we grew the business, bro. So the brochures were cool. So I had a visual representation of my website. So I built out this website. It's actually still the same website, huntervalleyhousekeeping.com.au. Check it out. Like I built that with like it's click and drag. It's fine, but it's not incredible. But it does the job, right? It's a place for someone to land, have a look through. Do I trust these guys? Do they solve the pain that I'm trying to fix? And the brochures for me were a digital representation of that. So I wanted to be able to go to an appointment, hand them something physical that they could feel and touch, and there was effort and perception of like premium experience in that. So I would, if I had an inbound call, say it's like Kiddo's accommodation or Kiddo's vineyard, and I have an appointment tomorrow even, like I could turn these around fast. I had a white label brochure, A4 gloss, thick paper. I would ring their local print place and say, hey, I would get your logo off your website, email it to them and say, put this on the front of my brochure. On the front of the brochure would be Hunter Valley Housekeeping and Kiddo's logo. And then inside of it, there was an avatar. It was like an avatar of like me holding a spray bottle, a cloth, a vacuum, a mower, all the things. And then there was a picture of you and it said me, you, like the toilet avatars. And then you would be like just sitting there with a glass of wine, chilling, right? So instantly first of all, you hand them that, they can see their logo. There's a huge amount of brand equity that person holds in their logo. They sat around a kitchen table, they went back and forth and they showed their friends, do you like this color? Do you like this font? And then they landed on that logo. It means something to them. It means nothing to you. But when you can put that on against yours, you're now creating a partnership, even just visually. And they're like, wow, like you put my logo on this brochure, and you're bringing it to me. There's a feeling in that. And then they open it up, they have a bit of a chuckle when they see the avatar, and it's very clearly, we do everything, you do nothing. And then off the back of that, it would be our services, and on the back of that is our values. The whole page, man, is our values. Do what's right, finish what you start, have fun, and it's like they can see who we are as a person. So, bro, the brochures were like, cost me like $4 each, and they were incredible lead gen tool.
So how do you go from the first cold calls to handing the flyers out? Where's that?
The cold calls for me was like the first touch point. Hey, I exist. This is who I am. One thing I want to highlight as well, when you talk about unsexy businesses, I tried to think of all these cool names that wouldn't make it seem like a cleaning business, which was a massive mistake. It was like CWJ, Courtney William Joyce is my name, CWJ Home Services, CJ Home Services. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, no one knows what that means. because I didn't want to say I had a cleaning business. It was wild, man. But then I stumbled. I was like, Hunter Valley Housekeeping. I'm like, fuck, that's a mad name. Checked if it
SEO,
was
the
available.
SEO on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct, bro. It's like you see that in a ranking, you know what them guys do. You don't know what CWJ services. What is that? What do they do? Hunter Valley Housekeeping. Oh, they're a local housekeeping company in the Hunter Valley. No brainer. And then, so off the back of that, cold calls were an introduction. And then over time, man, all these other cleaning businesses couldn't scale. They would fall over during the busy holiday periods. And then we just started to slowly pick them up. They would come back. It was like, hey, you called me 8 months ago, 6 months ago. Can you come and do a quote? So the moment I had a chance to do a quote, that's when I would execute on the brochure and then go meet them out there. Then I'd quote the property, hand the brochure over, and then follow up thereafter. So like we grew through them busy times because no one could scale. It was mostly mum and pops. It was very fragmented.
And how many cold calls, if you had to guess, how many cold calls were you doing
Dude,
a week, a month?
Yeah, I would drive around. So on my days off from I'm still full-time coal mining at this stage, right? So like I would drive through the areas, and I like the old school way to sell accommodation. They would have their phone numbers on the front brochures of their like at the entrance, and so I would just drive and just drive and call. Like if I had to guess, I would like I wasn't a stupid amount, man, but like I would have made probably maybe 100 calls, like just to try to get some traction. And then one person tells the other person.
For people listening, 100 calls. 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that I'm deeper into this business game, 100 is nothing. 100 is nothing. But it's all reps.
You can say that again. Look, Courtney, I know you've not got a lot of time today, so I've got just a couple more questions. That's all right. So you mentioned earlier that you lost money paying for things that maybe you shouldn't have. What is a $10,000 lesson you learned the hard way that others could skip if they hear what you have to say right now?
Bro, there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars lessons. The probably one of the biggest pain points for me, like I've had partnerships that are broken down purely off the back of lack of direction and a lack of like who does what and when. So if you get yourself into a partnership or there's an opportunity for you to become partners in something, anything, like have very clear outlines in who does what, when they do it, and what does a positive result look like? Because it can't be blurry. It can't just be two guys that have this vision of like, hey, let's just figure it out. Like we'll all just do a little bit of everything. It's like very clear outlines on who does what and who's responsible for what and when. So that's a partnership model. Outside of that, if you look at investing, like invest in yourself before you invest in anyone else. I shouldn't have invested in other people when I had so much more investment to do in myself and my own businesses. I started making money, like when I started making money in Virtual Spotter, I looked around, I was like, in order for me to make more money, I need to invest. Like that was a very uneducated decision from me because I should have continued to invest in myself rather than invest in other people that I had no control of. So I would give people money off ideas that I liked, and now I'm further down the road. I was investing in them rather than investing in me. And I think that the greatest investment is yourself, especially in the beginning. So I think that's a lesson. Invest in yourself. I spent some time in acquisition.com with Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy. Like that's a $45,000 investment. Like maybe and that's purely just for 3 days. It's not including any travel. So like I will continue to invest in education and having conversations with people further down the road than what I will. So education, invest in education. And then off the back of that, you will learn things that, what might seem really challenging or hard become quite clear and simple. I hope that my kids say that dad held me accountable to do the things that he believed in me. So like I want them to grow up and identify, and they certainly don't think like this now, right? I want them to understand that I held them accountable because I believed in them. And that's how I want them to remember me.
And what is something your kids teach you that no book or mentor ever could?
That every situation is different and every person is different. So if I look at my children, I have 4 children, all raised in the same family with the same values by the same parents, and they are all completely different. I need to talk to them differently. I need to punish them differently. I need to lead them differently. They are also different. So the biggest lesson that they have taught me is that you can't apply one thing to everything. You can't apply one message. You can't apply one strategy to one person. Everyone needs to be dealt with differently and managed differently. One other thing as well is the other thing that they taught me is that we're here for a very, very small time. Like like these guys are progressing through life at like a rapid speed, right? And I'm under no illusion that they're going to be underneath my roof for forever. Like we're with our kids for like such a short time. And then off the back of that, it's like we have like basically 15 years to get this right. We've got 15 years to get these kids right before they go and spend the next 75 years on their own. So it's a very tiny window and it's a huge responsibility. So like they've also reminded me like how short life is.
Do you ever feel torn between being a present dad and an ambitious builder? And how do you navigate that?
Yes. Dude, it's a constant battle, right? Like I think you can look at any podcast and they talk about balance and they talk about switching off and they talk about when you're at home. And I'm certainly like not amazing at that. I think that the way that I view balance is that I think people are too zoomed in on it. They're like, hey, if I spend an hour with my family, then I'm allowed to spend an hour with my business. Or if I spend one day with, I think we're too zoomed in. I think if we zoom out as like this season that I'm in right now for my business might demand 8 weeks of my full attention, 8 weeks. And then off the back of that, it might buy me 12 weeks with my family. So like if we zoom out a little bit and go, hey, like right now, this whole year, like I'm going to have to like log in and get this figured out because if I do, it's going to buy me like 4 years with you guys thereafter. So I don't think I'm amazing at it. Our business runs around the clock, 7 days a week. We've got clients all around the world right now. And like someone always needs something. And in order for me to be the best parent, I need to also prioritize the business, to be the best husband. Like I'm not great at it. I'm still trying to learn.
Yeah. And I guess just a final question. We don't know who's going to watch this, whether it's today, next week, in a year. Is there an opportunity you think people can help you with? Or maybe an introduction to somebody, a dream introduction? If someone were to watch this in the future?
For sure, dude. Anyone. So I like interacting and engaging with anyone in Australia that's having a go. Anyone in the world that's having a go. Whether you're young, my age, older, whatever. Like if I can help guide or create a conversation with you, like for sure reach out, whether it be Instagram or my emails. But who we help most from a business point of view is franchise fitness, wellness business owners, franchisors, franchisees. Think of any of the fitness wellness brands. We have clients all around the world and we offer the most value to them, reducing OPEX and creating simplicity in their franchise. So that's what jazzes me up. We're solving problems for some of the biggest fitness brands in the world. And I feel like we're just at the tipping iceberg of that. So and outside of that, anyone, any tech founders in Australia, globally, but like technology is also like the other big passion.
Yeah. And Courtney, where can people find you and follow your journey?
So Instagram, I'm probably the most active on Instagram, _Courtney_Joyce. And then email Courtney@courtneyjoyce.com.au.
And if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on YouTube, I'll put the links in the description. Thank you very much, Courtney. I know we had a tight window today, but I think we managed to pack so much value into this short episode. So thank you very much for taking the time, Courtney. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, big dog. Thanks, brother. Awesome. Until next time, my man. Peace.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon.